Turn that. Yo. What's going on, everybody? This is Devon from Barely Watched Podcast, talking about your Chicago Bears, talking about everything related Bears, trades, injuries, player performance, and everything like that. We have a very good gentleman in the building, Lester Wiltfong. You guys may know him from our show already. Lester, go ahead, tell him just a little bit about you, sir.
Editor-in-Chief, Windy City Gridiron, video and audio stuff on the podcast channel. The video, of course, is Second City Gridiron, but yeah, I'm all over the place too. I'm like you said, I'm a longtime guest with you. So what is this? Barely Watch? That's the
Barely
new
Watched.
moniker. Okay, I like that.
That's
Barely
the new
Watched.
moniker for it.
Okay.
Barely Watched Podcast.
Nice.
So it's been quite some time since we actually done anything Bears related, man. There's been so much going on this season with players, stats, injuries. Where do you think we should start it off at today, sir?
I mean, those big trades just popped off, so that was kind of interesting to go there.
Now, the Robert Quinn trade led the trades. Is that correct?
Ago, yeah. Couple weeks back.
Now, this is something that we've talked about in the past that we both could have saw happening. Obviously, you said you want to wait till you can see the most you can get from him, wait to see how the season plays out. There's always going to be teams that need him as well, too. How did you see that happening the way it did?
I thought the whole process probably played out as good as the Bears could have hoped. I mean, a 4th-round pick for a guy at 32 years old. Yeah, he had a great year last year. I think that was kind of, is one of his best years in a long time. I think Robert Quinn is a good player, but he's not that guy that showed up for the Bears last year. Just a lot of good things went into what happened there. But the fact the Bears got a 4th-round pick for him, plus they got to keep him on the roster to help mentor Travis Gibson, Kingsley Jonathan, who is a UDFA they picked up. And then, of course, Dominic Robinson, the fact that he got to mentor these guys and really kind of show his veteran leadership, I think it's a win-win for the Bears because they got that. Plus, they got a draft pick. And then for Robert Quinn, now he's on, the best team in the NFC.
Now, how much did you see of his talent still being there for him? Granted, you said he wasn't the same player last year, but what was it that you did see from him this year?
He still has elite first step quickness. I mean, he's still that guy. His bend is incredible. His cross chop move is really good. He still has the moves. He just, he needs a little help once in a while. But with the Bears, he was one of the most double teamed pass rushers in the NFL because the Bears don't have anything else in that line. So,
of course,
I know for 2 games in Philly, he has not been very good. They're kind of ramping him up, kind of get him within their scheme. He has not done too much there, but at some point he will make a difference for the Eagles.
Now, is this a piece that you see the Bears missing going forward, or because we've played a game or two without him already? What do you think about that?
Yeah, they need a pass rush. I mean, right now they're one of the worst teams in the NFL looking after the quarterback. I mentioned a couple of guys earlier, and Travis Gibson and Dominic Robinson. Gibson is he's solid, but he hasn't showed a consistent ability to get to after the quarterback. Dominic Robinson, the rookie, he has some nice moves. He has some nice speed off the edge, but again, he hasn't shown the consistency. He's a rookie. These guys take time to develop. And then Al-Quadin Muhammad, he's more of a run stuffer guy. He's never been a huge, as far as sacks or pressures go. They need someone to step up, and the Bears may have to scheme things up with the coaching staff to get that.
Yes, sir. Now, the next trade that we experienced was a big splash, if you ask me, trading Roquan Smith to the Baltimore Ravens. This was very unexpected to me. I thought they were going to keep him long term. I thought he was a cornerstone of the defense. He's young, still a 4.2, 4.3 guy. Just tell us a little bit about that, Lester, and what you think about that trade.
It was funny because like a week before the trade, there were reports that they were going to franchise tag him. He was part of the long-term plans. So yeah, I was surprised. I didn't think it was going to happen, but they got a 2nd, they got a 5th, they got a player back in AJ Klein, a veteran linebacker. He's just a guy. He may mix into the mix this season, but yeah, getting a 2nd, for Roquan is a big deal. The fact that they can get as much as they did, I was a little surprised. Considering his contract status, because now in Baltimore, they're going to have to pay him. They've already talked about how they plan to do it, but that's a better scheme fit for him. I was hopeful he would be able to fit in better with the Bears, playing that weak side linebacker spot in the 4-3. I thought he had the speed and instincts to play it. And he has flashed. I mean, he has had some outstanding games this season, but he's been inconsistent. So it's probably the best thing for both parties. There was no intention of bringing him back because I mean, he requested a trade in the offseason. He was a hold-in. He wasn't around. He has no agent. So, some of the stuff that an agent can shield the player from. He doesn't want to hear that the value for an off-ball linebacker is not where he thinks it is. He doesn't want to hear that. That's something an agent's supposed to take the brunt of that, go back, kind of mend fences between the two sides. But since he's doing all the negotiations himself, he said, and Ryan Poles said, that it made it a little harder for this. So best bet, move on. The Bears are a worse defense now, though, but we're not expecting a playoff out of this team anyway.
Now, with the trade of Roquan Smith, you have to say it's safe to say that the Bears are in full-on rebuild mode.
Yeah, I think Ryan Poles is this has been his vision. Like I said, I thought the Quinn trade was always going to happen. When the whole Roquan stuff came up, look, there was an offer on the table. The Bears had an offer. It was a very, very good offer. From what I understand, what I read and stuff is, it was a close to what he's asking. He wanted to be one of the top paid defensive players in the entire game, and you don't do that with an off-ball linebacker in today's NFL. That's just, the value's not there for that. So, they'll get through it. They're going to be fine. They'll have a chance to kind of see some young guys. I know they talked about Jack Sanborn getting some reps, undrafted free agent. Sterling Weatherford also is going to get some reps probably. Nick Morrow, who they signed as a free agent from the Raiders, he may slide over that will spot. They haven't really said how they're going to actually play that yet, but it's going to be interesting. Like I said earlier, they're going to have to scheme up some different things to do on that defense because they lost two of their better players.
Now, with the two changes to the defense that they did make, where would you say that puts their record finishing the season?
I still got them about 6 wins. I just can't see this team, doing that too much. The nice thing, though, the last 2 weeks is the offense started to pick up a little bit. They're starting to scheme around Justin Fields' athleticism, scheming up some actually run looks for him, which is helping him in the passing game. I know there's still a lot of people saying that his passing numbers aren't that best yet. The raw numbers aren't, but his efficiency is getting better. His completion percentage, his passer rating, his average yards per attempt. He's doing pretty good in those aspects, and it's a new offense. He's a young player. The talent around him is not the best, so it's coming.
Now, what would you say has been like the biggest boost for the Bears offense to spark the way they have been doing the past couple of weeks, putting up 30+ points?
I think it's that run game, their commitment to the run. They really want to, commit to that. And they have 3 guys that are, putting up a lot of yards in Herbert, Montgomery, and Fields. I think the commitment to that, some of the play action off that, it wears on a defense. It's, if you're always getting pounded the whole time, you can't just tee off and get after the quarterback. And, even though the Bears are still giving up, way too many sacks, he's taking too many sacks. The fact that they can show that run game, commit to that run game, it helps slow those guys down.
What have you been seeing different in Justin Fields? Because his confidence just looks like it's through the roof right now. What would you say it's been that has him feeling this way?
I think part of it's just the experience. He's only started 18 games in his NFL career. So, this is his second year. He's halfway through his second year. He didn't start a lot of games last year. He didn't get a lot of reps last training camp because Matt Nagy said, Andy Dalton's the QB1, and that's how they kind of played the whole offseason, where Fields didn't get a lot of work. So he's just more experience, able to work within this offense. I think this offensive scheme, brand new play caller, Luke Getsy, they're still trying to work through things, kind of seeing what they can do best as a team, as a scheme. And I think they've hit on something right now. They, like I said, they're dialing up more designed runs for him. And I think at Ohio State, that wasn't his game. He was a run-first option quarterback. He was a pocket passer. But when you're 6'3", 228, you run a 4.4 40, you have that kind of speed, you got to take advantage of it. So I think him getting some more action early helps him, his overall confidence in his game.
Yes, sir. Now, obviously, we didn't forget to mention, we were just waiting.
We're working up to the Claypool.
Yeah. But then they made a very, very big splash, I would say, on offense, going out, giving up their own second-round pick to go out and get a guy like Chase Claypool. What are your thoughts on this trade? Because this guy, he's a freak of nature. If you look at his build, you look at his vertical, look at his catch radius, I feel like he has all of the potential to be that guy for Justin Fields. Tell us what you think about that, Lester.
Yeah, I love the move. I know there were a lot of fans upset that the second-round pick they gave up was theirs, so it's going to be higher. But, hey, that's the cost of doing business, man. The Packers were involved in this deal too. How would Bears fans have felt if the Packers would have traded their second for him and then the Bears get nothing? Bears fans would have been livid at that. especially because it's the Packers, making the move. So the Packers had, from what I understand, what multiple sources have claimed, the Packers had a second on the table. So if you're the Bears, you got to come with a second because, and the Steelers looked at it and said, hey, the Bears are going to be worse than the Packers this year. That draft pick is more valuable. Let's go ahead and send them to Chicago. And that's just the cost of doing business. Next year's free agent group of receivers, which a lot of Bears fans, hey, get a free agent next year. It's bad. There's not a lot of good free agents coming up here. The few of the ones that are decent are probably going to get re-signed by their team. So you got a chance to get a receiver that has number one potential. You got to take it.
Now, what do you think he brings to the table, Chase Claypool?
I mean, we talked about speed. I mean, he's another 4.4 guy, 4.4 speed guy. He can definitely take the top off of defense. But you mentioned it, his catch radius. He's 6'4", he's 238. He was a tight end in college. I mean, he's got physical size. He's a good to kind of go in what the Bears doing now. He's a really good run blocker as well. That's what he brings to the table. But man, just that speed, the size. We saw in the last game against the Cowboys, there were 3 deep shots Justin Fields took, and all 3 came incomplete. He had a couple to Equanimeous St. Brown. He had the one to Velus Jones that kind of hit off his fingertips. Chase Claypool is a contested catch guy. I know some of the numbers that he had, early in his career didn't show that, but this year he's really good at that. He was good at that as a rookie. Part of that is the quarterbacks thrown to him in Pittsburgh haven't been the best. But man, with Justin Fields' skill set, we've seen it, in his year and a half in Chicago. He wants to go deep when he can. Now he's got a guy that's big and strong enough to go get it and just, body those defenders out and make that play.
Now, do you see Chase Claypool coming in, making an instant impact, or is that something you expect and think we'll see more of next year?
They already talked about it. He's playing on Sunday between 10. This is what Coach Matt Eberflus said, between 10 and 35 plays. So that tells you that they got a few packages in mind for him, so he may get in there. We've seen some jet sweeps and some flip sweeps from the Bears already this year with St. Brown, with Velus Jones. So now you may see a couple of those go to Chase Claypool because he has done that in Pittsburgh. He's shown that, that he can do that. But we're going to see some shot plays too. I mean, he doesn't know the playbook, obviously, but how much do you need to know to say, hey, run a go route? He knows how to run a go route. He knows how to run a fade. He knows how to run a slant. These are things he can do. And yeah, the timing may not be there with Justin Fields, but just such a good talent. I think they got to take advantage of that as much as possible. Plus, it'll just help them evaluate Fields. If you got him, incorporated into the offense, another weapon for Justin Fields. Like I said, it seems like they're all in on Fields now. This is one of those things where, hey, let's get him another weapon. This is their guy. They didn't draft him. There was some rumblings that maybe they'll move on. They're not moving on. You don't move on from a guy like Justin Fields. This is their guy. They're bringing in weapons now. They're going to see what he has, and they're going to let these next 9 games really evaluate the offense as a whole.
Now, what do you see this doing to the Bears wide receiver room that we have now? Because we got some guys like N'Keal Harry in there. We have Equanimeous St. Brown. We have Pettis in there. We have Darnell Mooney, Velus Jones. What does this do? And obviously Pringle still lingering in and out with injuries as well.
Pringle's coming back soon. He wasn't activated for this game. He's in his 21-day window off of IR with that calf strain that he had. He should be back next week. I think once he gets in here, he'll slide into the slot position. N'Keal Harry, they like N'Keal Harry. I mean, he's another big, strong receiver, real physical, good catch radius, really good at the catch point. I think they want to see what they have in him, but Dante Pettis probably going to be the odd man out. Some of his reps will kind of go down. Equanimeous St. Brown, some of his reps will go down a little bit because he's just not the same caliber of player as Harry is and as Claypool is. But man, St. Brown has been pretty good this year. Yeah, he's not putting up huge numbers, but he has been outstanding in the run game. He's a great run blocker, and he comes in. He knows the offense. He came in and he did that. He's done his job. I can see him still having a role in this team moving forward, but eventually it'll be Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool as your 2 starters. N'Keal Harry kind of working in, and then Byron Pringle. Those will be a top 4 the rest of this year.
Yes, sir. And I definitely believe with Claypool being there, it definitely gives Darnell Mooney his role back because you have that big physical receiver on the outside that can draw double coverage and can do work by himself. And that gives you room to open up the field with Darnell Mooney. And I definitely see that happening as well. Like we've already been seeing that happen.
Yeah, it should be fun. I mean, he was getting the safety over the top on him, because he was the top weapon for the Bears. Everyone knew it. The
Mhm.
defenses knew it. I mean, who are you worried about in the passing game? I mean, the passing game for one has been awful this year. But if you're going to worry about someone, I'm not worrying about Dante Pettis. I'm not worrying about rookie Velus Jones. I'm worrying about Mooney. So if I'm gonna move coverage or put a guy over the top, it's gonna be to Mooney. But now you can't do that with Chase Claypool because he has shown that kind of skill set where you gotta respect what he has. So
And
it's
we're
gonna
still
open
seeing
things
the
up.
door open up for
Yeah.
N'Keal Harry as well. Not to cut you off.
Hey,
Sorry about
no,
that.
yeah, exactly. With Harry too. I mean, he's a guy that he can play some out of the slot. He can play all over. He's a good football player. Just it didn't work in New England with him. But like I said, the Bears are high on him. They like what he brings to the table.
So how do you see the rest of this season playing out? Granted, you said 6 wins. What type of flashes do you see we're us having from the offense and defense going forward?
Well, the offense is all run game now. I mean, they lead the league in rushing. They're putting up 181 yards per game. They're doing stuff that hasn't been seen in Chicago since like the 80s. So it's really like a throwback old school style, which I kind of dig it. It's physical, but man, it's you can't win in today's NFL like that consistently. So um, they're going to use the run game to kind of help the passing game, play action. The bootlegs, that offense we were so excited to see, has kind of been up and down this year. They're
Mhm.
kind of defenses are kind of ready for that. They're kind of scheming on that. So now we got to see Luke Getsy because we've seen some of it bootlegs where the unblocked guy doesn't care. He's going right to fields. And we see him take some really cheap sacks this year. So we got to see the offense kind of mold around that. But another weapon in the passing game, is going to help that just because there's more options on the field. So I just want to see the offense keep clicking. I mean, if the Bears lose the rest of the games, which I don't want to see that, but they're putting up, like the last 2 weeks, 31 points, 29 points. They're putting up a lot of points, a lot of yards. They're showing progress as an offense. That's what this season is about with Justin Fields.
Yes, sir. Now tell us the status of that offensive line and what's going on with them.
Yeah, they're still not the best. I mean, they got Cody Whitehair back this week off his knee injury. He was on IR. He spent his 4 games there. He was activated in full. He's not on the injury report. So that tells you that whatever he had with his knee is completely fine. My guess is he slides right back in to left guard. Braxton Jones at left tackle. He's playing like a rookie.
Mhm.
He's flashing. I mean, his highs are high, his lows are low, which is what you expect from a rookie from a small college. But the potential's there. Our guy Greg Gabriel did a big scouting piece on him at the site a couple weeks back, and he really thinks that Braxton Jones is the future left tackle. He sees what a lot of us see. His problem is with anchoring. He has a hard time against the big bull rushers. That's kind of getting him off guard.
Mhm.
That's fixed in the weight room in the NFL offseason. So he's high on him. Larry Borum's out this week. Well, no, he's back from his concussion, but they haven't said if he's going to play this week. So they may let the veteran Riley Reef get one more shot at right tackle, which I'm fine with. I thought he played good last week.
Mhm.
Borum, we've talked about him on your show before. I've always seen him more of a swing tackle.
Mhm.
I just think he's better off the bench as not a guy you're counting on. And then Tevin Jenkins, right guard, man, he's been money this year. I think he's really good. It took him a while to kind of get used to that spot, but he's there now, and I think he has Pro Bowl potential. And then center, your guy Sam Mustipher,
My God.
he's not as bad as last year. Okay, he has improved, but I still would prefer to see him as your backup. Lucas Patrick is the guy they signed for that spot. He is, of course, injured now. What are you going to do? They got Sam Mustipher in there. Just who it is.
Yes, sir. Now, if there was one thing that you could see the Bears surprising us this season and doing, what would you say that thing would be?
If they're going to be surprised, it'll be the passing game. I mean, I don't think no one expects Justin Fields to put up any big numbers, but with Chase Claypool in the fold now, N'Keal Harry, he can work those underneath routes with his size. He can just box out defenders and make plays. I think we're going to see a couple big games this year from Justin Fields, which is going to make because a lot of analysts were kind of down on him last year. They were down on him early in the season. But the narrative locally and nationally is starting to shift. They're saying, oh, man, Justin Fields, he's kind of, showing some stuff. Again, I talked about his efficiency. But we're going to see some numbers pop soon. At some point, he's going to put up, a big game. And the passing records in Chicago is horrendous. I mean, we know this. So, I think there's only been like a handful of 300-yard passes in Chicago. So Justin Fields, if he does that a couple times this year, that's historic.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Now, as we get ready to close out, we know that we play the Dolphins this week. You said you see the Bears winning 41-12. Did I hear
Yeah,
that correct?
no, you didn't hear that correctly.
Oh,
I mean, like I said, man, the Dolphins are tough, man. I mean, they got really good offense over there. They're clicking. They believe they're contention in the AFC. I think they're kind of a step down from like the Chiefs and the Bills, but it's still a good football team. As far as predictions go, it's supposed to be really bad in Chicago again. We're in Kenosha, so weather outside is pretty bad. We're only an hour north of Chicago. They're supposed to be really bad tomorrow as well. So if the weather keeps things down, the Bears got a chance, but I can't see them winning this. I'd like to see them put up at least 3 touchdowns. So let's call it 24 Bears. We'll call it 34 for Miami.
yes, sir. That being said, you guys just watched an episode of Barely Watched Bears Report. We're Vaughn and Lester. Lester, we greatly appreciate you having some time for us, sir.
Anytime, man. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.